The difference between Undertale and Deltarune WD Gaster. So in Undertale, Gaster is found through Fun Value. He is also mentioned by River Person and his Gaster followers. But in Deltarune, it's kind of a different story. He is theorized to be the one who made Jevil and Spamton really insane. Also, if you talk to the phone, you'll hear his beautiful voice. He is also very suspicious to be the one who is behind the tree. If you don't know what I mean, he is theorized to be the one behind the tree in a secret room in Deltarune, now showing on screen. Also, most people agree that he lives here. How Jevil immediately got replaced by Spamton. Okay, I just want to say I really like Jevil. No hate. Okay, there's a couple reasons. First off, character. Jevil is just crazy clown, and we've seen that before. Also, screen time. Jevil doesn't have that much screen time. Spamton, also being a secret boss, is also a side character, so he gets more screen time. Also want to talk about the references in his secret boss, to them being Mettaton Neo and also Mettaton EX. Here to clip out. That's right, that's Mettaton's Neo team in Spamton's team. The difference between Undertale and Deltarune. Also, sorry for not uploading for a while. Alf and Undyne have met in Undertale, but in Deltarune, it's almost like they never knew each other. Undertale is 8-bit, meanwhile Deltarune is 16-bit. Deltarune gets a lot of new updates, meanwhile Undertale, that's not the case. False Deltarune theories. Okay, so first off, we got the evil Rouse theory. Why would he be evil? I mean, I haven't found a single piece of proof that he is evil, at least of what I know. So this is fake. Next off, we got the Taylor Swift theory, and I'm pretty sure it's fake. Like, the theory suggests that Noelle has a lot of similarities with Taylor. But again, why would Toby do this? There's no reason for him to do this. Next, we got the night theory. The theory suggests that Chapter 3 will be at night, which I think is wrong. First off, all the chapters are supposed to represent a week, which won't work in this way. If the chapter is 2 days long, that will be too much for Toby Fox. Chapter 1 versus Chapter 2 of Deltarune. Chapter 1 is a little more serious, but Chapter 2 is a lot more comedic. Now I get that there are some serious stuff about Deltarune, including Snowdrake, which I hate, but look at this and spot the difference. Chapter 1's a lot more friendly to new viewers. Chapter 2, not that much. Lastly, Chapter 1's a lot more of an introduction. Chapter 2's a lot more meme-ified. Which one do you prefer? Comment down below. There's a new Deltarune newsletter. So, if you didn't know, Toby makes a couple newsletters every once in a while about progress for Deltarune, merch, and etc. And one just dropped. Let's talk about the information. So basically, Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 is 100% confirmed to come out in 2025. Which is huge! Guys, we're getting Fluffy Boy. We also got some merch, let's go! Mainly the Important Person shirt, and also the Sean plush, which I think is incredible. There are some new songs! What? Inspired by The World Revolving. Also, if you click here in the newsletter, you'll see this in the perspective of Noelle.
To the ball, hand play till you're all alone. It pulls strings and you make it ring until your heart turns red. Think of something from the ball. Hand plate to the roll along. Pull straighten and making straight and turn. What the bitch?
Think of something from the inside of the ball. The hand plated to your roll along. It pulls straight and makes a ring. And fill your heart and red your heart. Think of something from the inside of the ball. The hand plated to your roll along. It pulls straight and makes a ring. And fill your heart and red your heart. Think of something from the inside of the ball. The hand plated to your roll along. It pulls straight and makes a ring. And fill your heart and red your heart.
Why I believe Chapter 3's Dark World will not be in Toriel's home. Firstly, because the only piece of evidence found to prove this theory is at an ending cutscene. And what you know, Chapter 1's cutscene was tricking us. Also, Toby wants to make Undertale characters more like side characters because he wants to make Deltarune different from Undertale. They're more just like a, oh my god guys, Undertale, oh my god, new character from hello, and then lastly, if everybody's saying something, Toby will probably do something different to surprise the viewer, which is probably this situation. Who is the strongest wild enemy of Deltarune? You might think it's enemies like the guards from Card Castle or the pawns from the checkerboard, but it's actually someone different. Guess who is it from the silhouette? It's Wire, appearing in the end of Queen's Mansion and actually quite forgettable for some. That might just be because he only appears 2 or 3 times. But with a stunning HP of 1,753, plus with an attack and defense of 11, which is crazy for a forgettable character. 2025 will be huge for Undertale / Deltarune. First, not only Chapter 4 will release, but Chapter 5 will release in 2025. That's a huge drop. And Undertale will be celebrating its 10th anniversary. There will probably be lives of people playing Undertale from the official Undertale account with Easter eggs and lore. Also, not to mention Fangamer with new merch and discounts and much more. The Deltarune brain rot is consuming me. Like, it's genuinely insane. I was eating one time and I saw a knife. My brain thought, huh? Deltarune? Like, I said it out loud. Oh my god, Deltarune. Out loud. You know what people say? A hamster runs their brain. Well, I think there's a Rouse in mine. And when I was recording this video, I saw the color wheel with red in it. And I thought, Procreate X Deltarune, just because of the blood and the soul on Deltarune. It has literally consumed me. Deltarune brain rot has consumed me. Ranking Deltarune plushies. Okay, so first off we got the Sean plush with magnets and a lot more, and I'm gonna put this in S tier. Like, this is perfection. Then we got the Rouse Butler costume. A tier, not that useful, and the shoes don't even work that much. Jevil is sensitive, but again, he's really cool and even tough. S. Then we got Chapter 1 Rouse, really like this one, and I think Butler has to go into B tier because of this. Then we got Lancer, C tier. Then we got No Hat Rouse, really like this one, but Hat's better, B tier. Then we got Spampton. You can move his nose, kinda has a magnet, in S tier, and even has a secret line. Why I think there's a connection between the prophecy and Toriel. Okay, so first off, Toriel has the Deltarune in her shirt in Undertale. But if you think, that's just Undertale, well, let's look at Deltarune. Let's look at Toriel's house. Huh, so interesting. The Deltarune below her roof. The Deltarune on her carpet. And you might think, why are we talking about the symbol Deltarune? Well, look at the prophecy, the image I'm showing. The Deltarune! Well, I think the Dreamer family has some kind of a connection with Ralsei, who tells the prophecy. Ralsei is an anagram of Azrael. Azrael shows the Deltarune multiple times in the prophecy. And look at that, Toriel references multiple times. And not to mention Chris, part of the Dreamer family and part of the legend. So what do you think about this? Comment down below. This is what will happen in Chapter 3 of Deltarune. Because of a recent comment, I now believe that Chapter 3 will be in Torio's house and based on the TV, with Torio appearing with a Dark World form, along with the other Lightners appearing in Chapter 3. Since Chris opens the fountain, we already start in the Dark World, which means we find Susie surprised to be in here. Then starts the first battle with Chris and Ralze appearing along the way. A personal opinion I have is that minor Undertale characters will appear in Chapter 3 because of Undertale's 10th anniversary. I also think we'll be a middleman, bringing things from the light world to the dark world. The things we bring along the way will also help us. I also think the chapters will drop in the Undertale 10th anniversary, which is this year, or a Nintendo Direct. Okay, this short is going to be incredibly short because I'm sick, but I want you to choose between these three for my birthday and extra. Try to find the secret spam done in this video. Goodbye. What the hell? What the Shut up! I said shut up! Ooh, why do you think you are here? Because I didn't upload content for a week. Also, I can't even find a worse British accent than yours! Look, you didn't upload for a week. So, die. You fool! This is a short right now! What? And I'm making another one! What? And I'm making a full theory video! Is Gaster really the one pulling the strings? Let's find out. Our favorite mysterious blobby figure has a theme song called Hymn. In Chapter 2, the first song is called Another Hymn, hinting that whoever's narrating at the start is probably Gaster. The Blue Addison says that Spanton left the phone in the middle of a conversation, but when he put the receiver on his ear, he only heard garbage noise. When you call in Chris's telephone, he says he only hears garbage noise. We hear the same sounds in entry 17 and Chris's telephone. So that pretty much just borderline confirms that Gaster is pulling the string. Deltarune just might not be on the Switch 2. Here is why. Clickbait answer, it's going to be on the Switch. Actual answer, it might just not be. So Nintendo just announced the Switch 2, but some games might not be compatible from the Switch 2 that were from the original Switch. And that got me thinking of indie games. They might be left out just because of them being indie and not from Nintendo. And Deltarune is quite the indie game to go. As it's only downloadable content, it's only a successor to Undertale, and Undertale is just way bigger. And it's an indie game. But who knows? Toby Foxworth's on Nintendo, but that's why I think. What year is Deltarune set in? And no, I'm not talking about the release date of the chapters. I'm talking about the in-game year. Okay, so there's this single piece of dialogue that Birdley calls out wave dashing. That concept was only made in 2002. So now we know it's after that. And Chris uses a cell phone, which I think will be pretty much outdated after the 2040s. And this hometown NPC uses sunglasses and caps, which was pretty much the trend in 2015 through 2018. Furthermore, it's a week before summer vacation, so it's early June 2015 through 2018. How smart is Birdley in Deltarune? The average IQ test uses shapes, which, yeah. So I went to a couple IQ tests using Birdley's strategy. He tries to do it quick because of the pressure, but also fails in the process because of that. He also stays there a while trying to think of a strategy. So I got the IQ of 100 to 109, which is pretty accurate since human brains and bird brains are pretty similar. And the average IQ is 97 through 110. The stages of a war wire in Deltarune. First off, we got Plug Boy, and this is before he was being controlled by Queen. So he's not evil or anything. Plus, he doesn't attack you. Pretty chill, right? Next off, we got the most known of the war wire species, and that is war wire himself. He is very aggressive. And he can kill, so be safer on him. This is the last one of the group, and that is War Wire. Very aggressive, strongest wild enemy, and just look at him. That design is so cool. But that's who are the kings in Chapter 1 of Deltarune. So in the prison B1 of King's Castle, if you avoid the elevator that you were clearly supposed to go and go to the right, you can see a little extra content. There's a strange prison with all these animals and weird cages and what? And they say that they were the old kings and that they were locked up and they represent the diamonds, hearts, and what the heck is going on? Then it clicked. The day the night appeared, the king, as we say, got pretty along with him. But the knight hated the lightnings, and the old kings hoped they would save them and be their only hope. But then they were locked up just because of an opinion, and the king rolled over and got more evil because of the knight again. Really weird. Everything new in Chapter 3 of Deltarune. So it seems, according to these sources, Chapter 3 has a theme of the TV, and will be in Toriel's home. Another recent proof of this is at the end when Chris makes a fountain. It's right next to a TV. Also, Toby showed us new people in a picture of Castletown for Chapter 3, which confirms recruits. It also seems we will spend more time in the light world than the dark world. Toby has shown a lot of songs only of the light world, like Hometown Day. But that's... Why is Chris the only human in Hometown? Let me explain. So basically, Chris is not a monster, as we all know. But why don't we see other humans in Hometown? Well, Chris is adopted. We know that. There are no baby pictures of him, and Toriel is a goat. But kids can also be adopted as babies. So what happened? So now we know that Chris was adopted as a kid. So there is a certain chance that Chris ran away from their home, just like Frisk. Everything in Deltarune mirrors Undertale. Who would win at a fight, Olimar or Chris Deltarune? Okay, Chris is huge for Olimar. Since he's small, he can just step on him.
Well, time to even the odds. So Olimar is Pikmin, and Chris has Devil's Tail, Spooky Sword, and the Peacemaker.
It's called the Deal Maker.
Yeah, all that. Purple Pikmin do 8% damage in Smash, which is equivalent to 80 HP, which means it can do more damage than Jevil.
Chris has a sword.
If Olimar himself can outrun a gun by the man at legs, he can definitely dodge a sword.
Why does Spamton say... Look, Spamton says this hundreds of times, and it's treated like an adjective because it's something you can be. You can be a big shot. According to Spamton, you want to be a big shot. You need to be a big shot. And the only thing Chris wants is freedom. And if you get big enough, you will reach a very certain point where you break free. So if you get big, you get freedom or no strings? Well, not exactly. When Spamton says big or shot, he says it in square brackets. That's most of the time a sign that it's not what he actually means. Most likely, big shot is to get powerful, more powerful than the ones controlling you. If you get big enough, you will surpass your puppeteer. Then you'll become totally free. And that's what Spamton thinks, at least. And this fits right in, being the answer to, is Spamton actually evil? Let's find out. Spamton may look evil, but he is misunderstood. He is quite the businessman, giving you a shortcut from the basement to the first floor. And it seems like he scams you with the deal you made, but he said he would give you hyperlink block, which is freedom, and he tries to break your soul, which would actually free you. He's been betrayed his entire life and still tries to help Chris. And yes, he does make false advertisement, but man, who knows what Gaster is making him do. Before you complain, I have more details on this video down below. Check it out. What are Chris's intentions? Chris's personality is a mystery. Well, kind of. Because it is theorized that he is the narrator because of a single line in Hometown that breaks third person. We are also led to believe that Chris doesn't like the soul. The soul is us. We know that. We control Chris. Chris does not control themselves, which creates self-identity crisis. But why the heck does Chris want to make a fountain because he wants to get rid of the soul? Well, Queen says that when you create a fountain, you create anything. Like, it's creating your dream. It's creating darkness is actually just creating what your dream place would be. And that dream place includes Chris having freedom. But when Chris throws his soul, why does he get it back? I mean, isn't freedom what he wants? Just put the soul out, man. Well, Chris needs the soul. A body cannot exist without soul. And man, just look at Flowey. Who is Mike in Deltarune? Spamton references someone called Mike in his shop, but he says it in an odd tone, and also never references him ever again. It seems Mike did something bad to Spamton, and theoretically abandoned him, considering they supposedly aren't friends anymore, and pretty much everyone abandoned Spamton. A theory I suggest is that Mike and Spamton were business partners. When Spamton got popular, the Knight left to make another dark world, and now with Mike. And then Spamton got evicted, so he blamed it on Mike. But that's White is from Deltarune. So basically, if you haven't been living under a rock, you've heard there have been tons of theories trying to know where Sans lived before the events of Undertale. But the answer is he's from Deltarune. In a Q&A, Papyrus said that before Snowden, he remembers green grass. But then Sans weirdly interrupts. Plus, there's only 2 places in the entire underground that have green grass. But if you still don't believe me, check this out. There's a way to unlock behind Papyrus's door, and there's a room with poorly written drawing of 3 people smiling, with a note saying, "Don't forget."
Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.
Who made our soul in Deltarune? So Chris's soul is not our soul. He tries to rip it off many times, but fails. And in Chapter 1's ending cutscene, we can move our soul with Chris not having it. So who made it and where? Another hymn is just Gaster's theme without one note. So that results to Gaster being the one who destroyed and created our soul. But Toby Fox is a canonical character in the game, so he could have made it as well. And this is the place the soul was created. Toby's adding save points to the light world. So Toby has added save points to the light world because of inconvenience. But how's that gonna work canon-wise? So we all know Chris has the most determination in the dark world, and that's how he can save normally. But there are probably more determined humans in the light world. Or are there? Chris has determination enough to make a huge fountain, has a full-on red soul, and we have no proof other humans exist. That's not Chris. Why is Jebel insane? Okay, we can clearly tell he's insane. The way he talks, the way he attacks, the way he acts, and literally just everything. But why though? Sham speaks of a man who led to Jebel's insanity and made his view of this world darker yet dark. So Gaster is the one who made Jebel insane. But what did Gaster do to him? Jebel references everything being a game, which is probably what made him insane. Also, Gaster talks to us in the start of the game, which means he knows we are a player. Is Queen Lancer's mom? Okay, there is a lot of resemblance here, but that's about where it goes because she is not. King already starts confirming that was never decided. But there's even more proof. When they're arguing, it seems that they've met before, which could mean King is trying to deny that she is the mother. But how did they meet? Needs to be answered before knowing this. While arguing, it seems that they only know each other from royalty. Plus, the Dark Fountain was only made recently, with Rose only sensing the dark presence now. And Lancer's already a kid. Plus, there seems to be a time difference between Light World and Dark World, with Rosie saying it's been ever so long, but Susie saying it's only a day. Where did Sham get his scar? Sham used to play games with Jevil, and Jevil's games are usually pretty wild. So when Jevil started to get violent, maybe he went too far and made a scar. And to be realistic, Sham is a doll, and dolls usually snap. Also, Jevil's attacks are really high, so they could have made a mark. Ships that are canon and not canon in Deltarune. Noelle x Susie is actually canon, with there being multiple times where Noelle blushes to Susie. Now Chris x Burnley is not canon, with Burnley caring more to Susie than Chris. Talking about that, Susie x Burnley, it's one-sided but still counts, and it's canon.
Opposite kings? The Chaos King, better known as the King, regrets nothing. He even threatened to kill his kid. He's much more careless and vengeful compared to Asgore. He regrets literally everything. Killing the 6 children, leaving Toriel, etc. He has empathy for those in need. Even if he's struggling in debt in Deltarune, he still has empathy.
Chapters 1 and 2 of Deltarune resumed. The chapter starts with Chris going to school. Susie ate the chalk, so you gotta go to the closet to find it with her. Turns out, inside the closet there's a whole world. Rose legend, yeah we know. We have a little adventure inside this closet. Secret boss Jevil and final boss Chaos King talk about the night, and how he's almighty and powerful. New closet, new adventure, and new. Final boss talks a little bit more about the night, and that's it. Who the heck is Pluie? So Toby was talking about chapter 3 and 4 and how he's almost done. But out of nowhere he says still haven't implemented Pluie and nothing else. The community is freaking out, and later he just said, we implemented Pluie! So who the heck is Pluie? Most of the community thinks that it's a secret boss. But no, because Toby has said already that he's finished all content. So maybe it's just a minigame. Could Spamton beat Noelle's Snowgrave? Noelle's Snowgrave could literally kill a person, and although that is a pretty strong spell, it is not enough, as Bradley is an easy foe with only 900 HP, and Spamton has more than 2,000! Deltarune Chapter 3's boss revealed? So back in 2022 with the Spamton sweepstakes, there was a secret link called Damn You Tenna, which was just about Spamton complaining about Tenna. But look at that little image. Does it remind you of something? And apparently Tenna dies! Was it all a dream? Toby Fox has trolled us many times, especially in ending cutscenes. So Chris opening up a dark fountain was all a dream? Well, no. We already know we're gonna have a TV theme in Chapter 3. Spamton even talks about this TV, which means it's probably in Chapter 3/4. Is Sham evil? Sham is the only one that acknowledges secret bosses. And how did he get that knowledge? Well, he could have been in evil spaces. And he even says his shadow mantle magically disappeared. Well, I think he's not. First, why would he sell weapons to his enemies? Sham supports the evil, saying that it is inevitable. So probably he is. But he still helps you in all occasions, and he helps us find Jevil. What is the roaring? Well, a fountain emits darkness, but if there's too much darkness, an apocalyptic event will happen, called the roaring, where titans will emerge and basically kill everything. Plus, all darkness will all automatically die. What is the roaring? Well, a fountain emits darkness, but if there's too much darkness, an apocalyptic event will happen, called the roaring, where titans will emerge and basically kill everything. Plus, all darkness will all automatically die. Is the leak real or fake? Why is the Chaos King evil? So Chaos King says he's not always been evil, which means at some point he had a shift. So what made him that way? Castletown Prison. If you do a snowgrave and check on King, he'll say, this happens because you didn't recruit anyone. It also implies that the Lightners abandoned King, making him feel with no purpose. Look, hot take. Everybody thinks that Ralsei will become evil, but I think someone else might be. This is Mr. Goofball, Lantern. And as silly as he might be, he is a son of the Chaos King. You might say, these two are nothing alike, but it's genetics, and Lancer has shown to not be able to handle an abandonment. And what made the Chaos King evil? But is Jevil actually evil? Jevil is treated insane in Deltarune. He talks, walks, acts weird. But is he evil? Jevil tries his best to warn others about everything, like this is all just a game. But no one believes him, which left Jevil in complete isolation to become insane. The parallels between Undertale and Deltarune. The most well-known is the characters, but a lesser-known parallel is the Deltarune, like the symbol. And it's like everywhere, from royalty to Car's heart locket, and even freaking Gerson! Well, what the heck is it?
I literally don't know.
Deltarune Chapter 3 just released, so here's my honest review. First off, I don't like how the way the game starts, just instantly, no introductions for new viewers. Also, I don't like how there's Mike in this, like who wanted this? Like there's absolutely no people who like Mike out of all people. Also, I don't like how there's a TV theme, like really bro. Lastly, I don't like how this is not a sequel to Undertale. Sam's Undertale is weirdly unnoticed in Deltarune, but he seems to have an importance. He seems to know how long we've been waiting for Deltarune chapters. And we all know this good old theory, but someone please cover this. Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 just actually released, so here's an honest review. First off, I adored the humor. Spampton meeting Tenna is peak fiction, although there is some horrid stuff. Which goes to Chapter 4, which has an amazing boss fight, which is peak! Although Raleigh was really weird. I'm replaying it live for theory, so go check that out.
Dark fountains are made of DT. They can only be made by Lightners, and they bring life to objects. Sounds familiar? Well, if there's too many of it, it will make an abomination. But that's how Chris loses his arm in the 1225 secret room. If you interact with the machine, it says you couldn't find your hand. Plus, Berkeley losing his arm might be foreshadowing, and a lot of other lines prove this. So I think Ralsei knows too much. The prophecy's so detailed that they know exactly what certain people are gonna say. He knows about the player and even admits he knows too much. That's why Ralsei's so scared of the ending of the prophecy. That's how is Susie right about the prophecy? Susie denies the prophecy multiple times. But while it does seem she can change the prophecy, it seems she has low impact. But we do have to consider Gerson. And so I ask you, who is the Roaring Knight? The Roaring Knight has antlers, meaning it's probably part of the Holiday family. But he also has the hands of Gaster, and a blackish Jewish design. And he has Papyrus's body. And so I ask you, does Gerson know the prophecy? Most of the time, Gerson seems clueless. But in his battle, he seems he knows the future, even mentioning Chapter 5. But he seems not to know it as well as Ralsei, knowing only up to Chapter 5. So now we know. Is Noelle gonna get controlled by us? In the Snowgrave route, we inject something into her, and I don't think that's a thorn ring. I think that's a piece of our soul. So maybe later, we can control her. So how did the Roaring Knight get corrupted? The Roaring Knight most likely lives in the bunker, and since they spent most of their time there, they probably got corrupted by the darkness, using slight edges of the light they once had. And that's why they're so addicted to violence. Now you know, who is the second hero in the prophecy? There's a theory floating around that it's Noelle, but I don't think this is Noelle's shape. Plus, Susie's the dragon in Dragon Blazers, which is based off the prophecy. And how did Ralsei already know her name? So now you know.